Hey y'all, let's talk about relationships
Not
today.
situationships.
I don't know nothing about that.
I don't either. I don't.
It's been so long.
Yeah, same.
So obviously there's multiple types of relationships, right? And so within talking about relationships today, we're gonna talk about healthy and unhealthy relationships. And of course, you can have kinships, friendships, romantic ships, but most of these, the context of it can go for any type of relationship. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about, like, personally, for my wife and I don't feel like I'm in a relationship with her. I feel like we're in a partnership. And so I'm going to start off with the difference between a partnership and a relationship, right? And each one has value. But for me personally, when I set out to be married, I don't think I had seen a few examples of partnerships, but it wasn't even something that I necessarily require. But now that I've had it for so long, I don't think that I could ever be without it. So obviously, let's get into it. A partnership is a type of relationship. However, every relationship is not a partnership.
True story.
A partnership is intentional. It requires both parties to agree on the parameters of the relationship. A relationship can evolve into a partnership, but that only happens when both people deliberately establish and intentionally establish expectations on how each person will contribute to long-term goals. So when I was younger, I would get into these relationships and no discussions would be had, right? No parameters would be set. There would be no boundaries. There would be no goals set by both parties that we would set out to reach them together, right? And from what I know of her personal experience and my personal experience, we were pouring into cups, but then we were depleted and left feeling empty, right? And you had these situations where you're pouring into someone else and you're not getting anything back. And so those are those one-sided relationships that are not reciprocal. Yeah, anything before we go further? So again, both people have to be intentional, right? And a steady pattern of give and take, a steady, consistent pattern of give and take. Both people are supposed to fairly give to each other and fairly receive. Hold on, here come my food, guys.
Salamat.
Salamat. Thank you so much. And this is only part of it.
This is just the beginning. Just the beginning.
We also bring our own seasoning. Here you go, baby.
She is, Susan. The information is coming. Thank you. Kiki said, I'm proud of you. Your relationship, marriage are united as one, equally yoked. Thank you.
Thank you. So basically, with a partnership, it takes two people being intentional. And it means making a sound-minded decision to become partners. And it's more than just an emotional experience, right? And so let's talk about relationships. In a relationship, you have a need that you needed to be filled, right? And most people in relationships, the basic requirement is they just don't want to be alone. And so usually broken people are in relationships. And so broken meaning emotionally broken, right? but also sometimes financially broken people. Some people are in relationships because they can't afford to be alone. They're literally looking for a person to take care of their day-to-day needs, right? And usually in these relationships, one person is pouring into the other, and then one person becomes drained, and then one person decides that they may want to elevate, and then that's when the breakup occurs. The person who leaves may want to focus their energy on someone that they don't have to pour so much into, right? And so if it's not reciprocal and it maintains itself over a long period of time, that was the feeling I used to have. I used to feel depleted in relationships, right? And so a partnership is when two whole individuals that don't need one another, but choose to be together and choose to work in tandem together. So in a relationship, it's usually self-serving. In a partnership, it's usually teamwork. In a relationship, one individual is focused on their needs. In a partnership, the interest and well-being of both parties is always on the table, right? In a relationship, it appears that two people are walking together because they are. But in a partnership, the walking together is mutually beneficial. Relationships have a tendency to be unstable and volatile, while partnerships are more stable and long-lasting. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff, baby.
What they got?
They just listen today.
Okay.
Trinket said you found someone who was moving at the same speed of life as you. And
Not
I would
initially.
say in the beginning, because we didn't know what we know now, but we knew each other before we got together, and I knew that I knew who she was. I knew who she came from. Thank God you didn't choose me based off of who I came from, but I love my family. Thank you. Is this the French toast?
Yeah, the French toast.
Oh, okay.
That's chocolate chips.
Oh, they put chocolate on it. Okay, thank you. All right.
Ooh,
I'm just gonna brush them off.
she tried to do something extra for us, but we don't.
I said,
Like,
no,
let them see it.
I said no powdered sugar, and they brought chocolate instead. They didn't have chocolate last time, so next time I'm gonna just say, and last time we had
Look,
bread too.
it was sweet of her, but
Yeah.
we can't do
Get that off. Susan said, "I love this."
it. How much was this breakfast?
She
baby?
said, "Eat before it get cold." They said they're here for it. Baby.
Okay.
It's like $8. Usually we get more bread, but I don't need more bread, so it's fine. Like they give you like toast before too.
So while we're eating, I'll take a break from the notes and say this. There's been times in our relationship where, like in the beginning, it was kind of like I was the breadwinner, right? And then there was a time where Chris stepped into that role. And so we both have invested in one another, right? And so people talk about being equally yoked. That doesn't mean that your finances always have to be equal, right? But the overall mindset should be similar. The things that you're interested in. If your partner can be your friend and you enjoy your partner's company and you do things together, your life experience is fuller. So we figured out, right? And we have more in common than not. And I know people say opposites attract, but sometimes people that are similar end up together. And we're a 80-20 relationship where we're 80% the same. And luckily for us, the 20% that we're both missing, the other has. So we complement each other well. And people are in relationships where one person is dominant and the other person is submissive. Well, luckily for us, we both are dominant and submissive, but we're able to alternate between each other on when one's going through, right? So we push each other gently when the push needs to occur, and we pull each other gently when the other person needs to be pushed. So
But I will
it
say
took
we
time to
yeah.
learn how to work in tandem.
And I will say we definitely have grown together. There was a point in my life where I didn't understand about the value of peace of mind, and you know why some change was needed in our life. And I was afraid to move, and I was very resistant. So we spent 56 days or something like that apart.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I had to, start therapy and, figure out, what am I doing wrong? Why is this not working? What's wrong with me too? And why am I not trying to understand her emotion and be sensitive to her emotions? And I'm glad that I woke up.
Well, I also feel like my wife is a caregiver. When I went through my broken phase, for her to heal me in every way she knew how is almost like a natural state for her. But as I was starting to get stronger and come back into myself, I started voicing, make room for me. Because just because you go through something doesn't mean you have to stay there, right? And so I didn't want to just stay in survival mode or cling to the fact that we had made it through all these tumultuous things together. I wanted to get to a point in life where we were thriving, right? And where, yes, you made it through those things. And yes, it's a part of our history. And yes, it's a part of our past. But we don't have to continue discussing those things and reliving those things, right? And so there's all this focus on expansion. And I was like, I want to be happy. I want to have joy. I want to have fun, right? In between the hiccups and the heartache and the funerals, I want to live more. And the purging of things and getting so much pressure off of us so that we could create the space to actually breathe a little, right? Live a little. And so it's been very transformative having her by my side to do these things, right? And taking turns leading. And when you're being led, the trust that you have to have and the honor and relationship to know that your person got you, right? And so that was basically the basis of the talk today. And then I wanted to get into some unhealthy relationships, examples, and I don't know, just get a feel for you guys of where you are and what we're looking for, right? And a lot of times we settle or we're in a rush to just not be alone. And we put ourselves into these predicaments, right? Where we don't even know what we want. We've had so many bad experiences and we end up choosing the same type of situation again and again, right?
So it takes time to get to know oneself. And
I honestly feel like for the people that are married, it's one of the biggest decisions you could make in your life, right? Because who you're married to can affect your faith. It can affect your overall belief systems, right? For those that, don't necessarily pray, but you're more spiritual, it can affect your spirituality. It can affect your finances. It can affect your health. And so literally to death do you part is real, right? And so let's transition to some unhealthy relationships, right?
you don't want to eat some more, baby?
I don't know. It's so hot out, and I'm just had all that watermelon. I'm fine.
So, guys, I do want you to get to the stuff, but I want you to eat too, baby. And we did have watermelon for our first part of breakfast. So I took those chocolate chips off because I definitely didn't want them, and I put my own sweet potato syrup. No white sugar. It's Muscovado. I would have used coconut, but still healthier. And bam, there it is.
I'm definitely gonna say this rice.
Yeah, me too. I made a Filipino dish the other day called tinola. I did record it, but I have to put it together one day, and then we're gonna put that over rice. Dolores, I'd rather much be alone. If I have to, then be with another. Okay, well, see, hey, nobody said be with another woman. It's whatever floats your boat, baby. Okay, that's just what we do. Okay.
You guys, let Dolores breathe. Don't jump on that. It's all right.
Yeah. Nobody ain't saying to do that.
Yeah, we're not even talking about sexual preference. We're just talking about human to human
That's right.
and the choices that we make. And different things work for different folks, right?
Hmm. And positive relationships.
There's also other channels for, you.
Karen, I'll have to make it. But basically, what I made my sweet potatoes out of, I just had leftover liquid, and that's what I use because I use the healthier sugar.
You hear that song?
I do. Minnie Rippleton.
How you know? That's a song in the background. All right, so let's get into codependency. Codependency is when you look at your partner for approval, for your self-worth, and for your identity. Both partners sustain the codependency relationship. It's a relationship, but it's basically an addiction, right? Codependency usually comes from people who were raised in dysfunctional families, whether it was abuse during childhood, or if one of your parents or both were emotionally unhealthy, right? And then what happens is, as kids, we seek to satisfy the emotionally unhealthy parent. And then when we get grown, we end up in a relationship with a person who we're also seeking validation through that person. But that person is also unhealthy emotionally. And you put yourself in a situation where you're constantly trying to appease somebody who can't be pleased, right? And so, questions to ask yourself to see if you are in a codependent relationship, right? And we're not talking about healthy dependence. We're talking about being codependent, right? Number one, are you constantly being put down? 2, are you being abused? 3, do you doubt yourself? 4, do you make a mistake, no matter how small it is, but for you, you feel horrible about it, so you're always apologizing? Does asking for help make you feel awkward? Are you unable to say no whenever someone asks you for anything? Do you avoid fights and conflict? Do you feel inadequate? Is it hard to express your feelings? And if you don't help someone, do you constantly feel like you'll lose the relationship if you ever said no? So here's some signs and symptoms that you might be in a codependent relationship. One person is always the submissive partner, and one person is always the dominant partner. The person that's submissive has an exaggerated sense of responsibility. You almost become like a parent in a relationship. You're a people pleaser. You can't say no. You depend on others, but in an unhealthy type of way. You're scared of being rejected, which is another reason you never say no. And you fear abandonment. You have poor self-esteem, and your main purpose in life is only to satisfy your partner, but never yourself. You got anything, baby?
Mm-mm. Well, I do.
Go ahead.
I used to have issues with codependence and abandonment issues and things like that. And like, I want her to be happy, but I also want to be happy too. And so I've learned how to be okay, even if even if she's okay and if she's not okay, it's not because I did something to her, but because of different circumstances. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not sensitive to her needs, but like my happiness is not dependent on her making me happy. And I've learned how to. It took some time,
Mm-hmm.
and she's doing the same thing, you know. So it took time to get there.
Like, say you in a relationship and your partner having a bad day, whether it's a headache, coworker, menstrual cycle, whatever. So you can have empathy or sympathy for your partner, but if they're having a bad day, does that mean that your whole day has to be bad as well? You know what I mean? So it's that healthy yin and yang of balance of, or then are you the kind of person that would be upset that your partner is not upset, depleted? Like, say that they went to get you the aspirin, right? Say that they massaged your head. They've checked on you and they've done all they can to make sure you're okay. Or you just moody, you in a bad mood. And you go, oh, well, you don't care about me, just because they don't go as down as you are. So it took time for us to figure that out, that there's some things that are beyond your control, and it's some things in your relationship that is not your responsibility. The person has to go through it on their own sometimes, right? And
Now, so in those situations, like I'm not gonna let it take me down, because you don't need two people down at the same time. You kind of need that balance anyway, right? Somebody be up, so maybe that positive energy or whatever can maybe bring that other person to, you know, a better state of mind. But you know, so like me staying up, after a while, I might just think, I give her time, you know, to go through, because everybody need to go through process or whatever. You don't just say, like you're going through something, you ain't gonna snap out of it all the time. You try to, but it don't always work that way. So,
but we check in with each other.
While I'm up, I might think to myself, what can I do to make her day a little better? And so I'll do something, you know, to try to, you know, make her feel better, you know, but not allow my day to go down. Because it's just not, you know, it's not a good part of a relationship. So, and it took time to get there.
So another level, guys, is enmeshed. Can you type that in the feed, baby? It's ENMESHED, enmeshed relationships. So think of a whale in the ocean and it gets caught in one of those drift nets. And the more that it tries to spin or spiral and get out, the more entangled it becomes, right? So an enmeshed relationship is another example of an unhealthy relationship. If you are in an enmeshed relationship, there is no give or take, okay? This is one of those one-sided relationships where one person is doing all the work, all the pouring into, all the tending to, right? So what ends up happening is in mesh relationships, usually one of the people in the relationship may have an addiction or it's just a flat out narcissist, right? And so the person that's the giver and the doer, they're seeking approval, right? And what these people do, like let's just say narcissists, for instance, they come into your life and they blow your life up. But initially, it's all good. They're giving you all the attention you want. They're giving you gifts. And the love seems so overwhelming that the person loves it in the beginning, right? And so you're in a relationship with the person. They're doing all these things for you. But it's not sustainable, right? Because they're only doing it to get you. Once they have you, they shut all that down. And then the person who was receiving all these things, you're doing all these extra things because you're trying to get back to the beginning of how it was, right? And so what ends up happening is the person who's playing games with you and who only did those things to get you, they'll start separating you from your family, separating you from your friends, and they'll make it where they're the center of your universe. And so what ends up happening is now that they're the center of your everything, you might not have any other human contact except with this one individual. So then you're so locked in and you don't want to let it go because now they're your everything. And without them, you don't feel like you would have anything. Right? And so the person is on this constant chase and you're doing more and more and more. You're losing yourself. You don't consider yourself anymore. You don't do anything for you anymore.
You're losing friends.
And you're losing friends. And, you know, your phone not ringing, people not calling. But when they are around, you fake it like it's okay, right? Because maybe they told you this was going to happen, or you don't want to hear I told you so, or you don't want what everybody else is saying about your situation to actually be right, even though it is right. So we stick and stay.
In that unhealthy situation.
We double down, right? Or we say, well, I already got 2 years in or 5 years in, and then that becomes 10. And you're locked into this pattern of, I'm not going to let it go no matter what, right? And so just imagine being entangled like that. And people on the outside are thinking, oh, that don't make no sense. I don't see why the person won't just get out. Well, usually the person has convinced themselves that it's not as bad, right? Because you can't have two competing ideas in your mind. You can't have in your mind, I'm a stick and stay and this is going to be forever. And this is horrible. I'm doomed. I'm trapped. It's messed up. So the person who has decided to stick and stay, they convince themselves that things are better than they really are, right? That's something.
Kiki said, wow, bingo, trinkets galore, worried about what the outsiders will think if you leave.
Yeah.
Miley said, wow, come on, D, teach. You know my story. No, I'm gone. LOL. I pray for them. Trinket said, I'm worried about how the kids will cope. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. We know a lot of people who stay for the kids. And
then the kids are affected emotionally because they see this. Then instead of learning what a healthy relationship will be, they learn what an unhealthy relationship will. And then sometimes they get to the point where they attract that in their life. Because that's what they think is a healthy relationship.
The unhealthiness becomes normal, right? And they don't know anything else. And so when I was younger, a lot of my family members were in these broken relationships, right? And so for me, I'm the total opposite. I was like, that's exactly what I don't want, right? And we've talked about long suffering on here before. That's what the relationships look like to me. It looked like long suffering. And as we know,
will pack up and leave just like she did when I went on my best behavior for 50-some days. Okay.
Yeah, my patience
patience
has gotten better. I didn't have a lot of patience in the beginning, so.
Yeah, but no, it's good that you don't settle. You know, even when it came to me, like for somebody that's not there for you emotionally, spiritually, that's good. That's a good standard to have. It's not just about not having patience. It's about not settling. So it don't matter how cute I might be and how I might cook and do this and do that, and might have a good career. Then none of that mattered. My baby said, I can do this all by myself because I love me. Go D. Good for you.
Yeah. So somewhere within these relationships, finding the self-love, right? Knowing your worth. And so, I don't know. I just wish that we could have more examples of positive relationships that are healthy and that work, right? And we get critiqued, people on the outside, oh, they the same, how are they together? But it's working for us, right? And so being in these stereotypical role play, I don't know, it just doesn't work for us, right? And so let's talk about when you're deeply loved and end this on a positive high note, right? When you're deeply loved, your feelings are validated by your partner, not disregarded, not brushed off. You're not told, oh, you being too sensitive, right? When you're deeply loved, your happiness is prioritized by your partner. When you're deeply loved, your partner shows genuine interest in the things that you're interested in. When you're deeply loved, there's respect for you as an individual. When you're deeply loved, you are supported in a way that allows you to grow. When you're deeply loved, you are embraced, even your flaws. You don't have to be perfect. When you're deeply loved, you communicate and you can be honest with one another. So inevitably, when you're deeply loved, both people can be their authentic selves. Last but not least, signs that you are in a healthy relationship. There's communication, trust, honesty, respect, boundaries, equality, conflict resolution, intimacy, affection, fun, compromise, kindness. You are safe. Support, acceptance. You can be clear about your needs, even though over the years they're going to change. You can be in a relationship but still have some independence, right? It's important to be free, even in a partnership. The commitment is there. You have shared goals. And again, you can be your authentic self.
That's right, babe.
Yes.
Break it down, break it down. Break it down, break it down. Good job.
Love you.
Love you. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We hope that you guys have a wonderful night. And make sure you follow if you ain't follow. Okay, get this good word for free.
Even though it's two chicks.
Oh, we appreciate all your love and support. And we look forward to seeing you soon. If you haven't taken your supplements, it's not too late. Go get up and get that supplement, y'all. All right. Well, remember, health is wealth.
Let's stay healthy together and be celebrated, not tolerated.
Let me give you guys one last good view. Thank you, Lydia.
They showing my fan. Look, I sacrifice for y'all and I don't put it on high. Let me show y'all how high it go. Y'all ready?
Shrinky said 2 fly chicks.
Yeah. Go up.
2 happy chicks. That's all right. That's all right. Some people can't be happy that you happy. It's okay.
Shame on them.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Hey, put your hat on. Just let them see it for a second.
If the sun was out, I'd probably have it on. But
Hey, just put it on.
I'm trying to figure out what's the front and what's the back, baby. Here we go. Nah, it's on.
All right.
You happy?
Yes.
Okay, that's what's up.
But now you can take it off because you can be independent.
All right, remember, health is wealth.
Let's stay healthy together. Love you guys.
Bye.